South Korea's foreign minister will head to the US as the two countries deal with the fallout of last week's massive immigration raid in Georgia. The US and South Korea have struck a deal to send roughly 300 workers home after they were detained by federal agents. The workers were among 475 people detained on Thursday during a large-scale raid at a plant jointly operated by South Korea-based companies Hyundai and LG Energy Solution. CNN's Mike Valerio joins me now from Seoul with more on this. Good to see you, Mike. So what's been the reaction to all of this in South Korea?
Rosemary, I think the best way to capture the reaction is to describe people being astonished to see the treatment of their citizens. And really, I think that there is, from the people we talk to on the streets of Seoul, when we're looking at social media and opinion columns in the newspapers, there certainly is the understanding that every country needs to uphold its immigration laws. But what people don't seem to understand when we're doing interviews is why couldn't ICE, from their point of view, go to this mega facility and say, you know what, I think there was a problem with XYZ section of your visa for this person and that person. The way that this was handled, showing up without warning and putting chains around people's waists, leading them out with handcuffs, and then leading them out to detention, that certainly has struck an emotional chord with people. And describing that emotional chord, it's certainly an undercurrent of unease. America is such a friend to South Korea, with nearly 30,000 troops who are stationed here on the Korean Peninsula as a counter to China and North Korea. Trade and cultural ties very strong. And then you have this that certainly is leading people in business to question, how will investments go forward? How exactly will they position their people going forward? In case in point, we had LG Energy Solution, the company that is partnering with Hyundai, at least in the EV battery part of this mega facility in Georgia, suspending most business trips until further notice and telling their people, Rosemary, that if they are in the United States, they either need to remain in their accommodations or come home immediately. And as we wrap up here, the broader context of this all happened fewer than 2 weeks after South Korea's president, Lee Jae-myung, was in the White House, in the Oval Office, having a good meeting with President Trump, touting all of the investment possibilities of how South Korea could help make American manufacturing and industry great again. So when you have this unfolding, certainly officials here in Seoul are trying to resolve this as quickly as possible. We do see President Trump posting on Truth a few hours ago saying that all foreign international investment is welcome. He wants people to be in the United States legally. So in sum, it's just the manner that this was done, again, striking a chord with people, and we're waiting to see when exactly the more than 300 people are set to return to South Korea. It could be towards the middle of this week, but we're still firming up our reporting on that front, Rosemary.
All right. I know you'll be watching that closely. Mike Valerio joining us there. Many thanks. Appreciate it.
South Korea has elected a new president, Lee Jae-myung, in a snap election ending months of political turmoil. His critics have called him Korea's Trump, owing to his criminal trials, his large social media following, and his divisiveness. Lee's victory gives South Korea an elected leader for the first time in months, and it could signal a change in the way that Seoul looks at Washington and approaches trade talks with Trump. Lee is head of the opposition Democratic Party, and he led the call to impeach former President Yoon Suk-yeol over martial law. Like Trump, Lee has survived an assassination attempt. A politically motivated assailant stabbed Lee in the neck, hoping to stop him from becoming president last year. Since then, Lee has received multiple death threats, and on the campaign trail, he not only wore a bulletproof vest, he delivered speeches, like Trump, behind bulletproof glass, an unusual move from a South Korean politician. Lee will not be as enraptured with the US as his predecessor. Lee wants more balance across the region. He does not want to antagonize China or Russia, and he has warned that South Korea should not overly rely on the US alliance. When we interviewed Lee in December, he spoke very fondly of Trump and said he would be glad to meet him. But while the two might have common points and get along in the room, the two do have distinct policy differences.
Effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
The people who call themselves Muslims should not be selling haram in their stores. The pork, alcohol, and the gambling, it needs to stop. And the more people accept Islam, the less demand there will be for stores just like this that don't have any rules, no limitations of what they sell. So we're going to launch this. Beware, everybody. We're coming after you. We should love what Allah loves, and we should hate what Allah hates. We're going to be visiting all of the stores in the neighborhood, particularly the inner city neighborhoods, where the religion of Islam is ignored. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum. You're Muslim, right? Mashallah. You know, as a merchant, you have every legal right to sell whatever you want. But as a Muslim, I have a responsibility to tell you, to educate the people and let them know that as a Muslim, you shouldn't sell haram. There's the alcohol, the pork, the gambling, it's all against Islam. And so I'm just letting you know ahead of time, in about 30 days, we're going to start doing demonstrations around the city. The Muslims that have businesses with haram in it, we'll let the people know that we have to teach the people the best. The Muslims have the best. So let the owners know you should begin to change the inventory, or we're just going to demonstrate. We can't stop you. You have a right to do it, but we have to give the da'wah to let the people know the truth about Islam, okay? Okay, so get the haram out of your store. May Allah bless you. I love you for the sake of Allah. Assalamu alaikum.
ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون الله أكبر الله أكبر.
We begin in New York City, where police are investigating whether a man who attacked 3 officers with a machete at a New Year's Eve celebration was inspired by radical Islamic beliefs. The attack coming just after 10 p.m., about 8 blocks from Times Square, just outside the high security zone, where revelers are screened for weapons. The man attacking 2 of the 3 officers struck with a machete.
Unprovoked, a 19-year-old male approached an officer and attempted to strike him over the head with a machete. The male then struck 2 additional officers in the head.
One of the officers shot back. hitting the suspect in the shoulder. After hearing the shots, those on the scene celebrating New Year's Eve running away out of fear. The New York Police Department pointing out a security bulletin had warned jihadist websites had called for attacks using level tactics like stabbings. Sources told ABC News the diary reportedly belonging to the suspect was found at the scene of the attack. They said the last entry indicated he thought he would die in the attack and requested a burial according to Islamic tradition.
Residents in New York say they're alarmed after seeing Muslim community patrols driving through their neighborhoods in what looked like police squad cars. One America's Pearson Sharp has the details.
New Yorkers say they're shocked after seeing Muslim patrol cars roaming their neighborhoods like police squads. These Muslim community patrols just began operating in Brooklyn this year, and according to the Council on American Islamic Relations, they are the first of their kind in the United States. The patrols sprang up as an apparent response to some 14 biased incidents against New York Muslims in 2017. Actually, a rather low number, considering there's over 8.6 million people living in the city. According to the group's vice president, Noor Rabah, the group currently has 30 members, but plans on rapidly expanding to cover the entire city. He describes the Muslim patrols like a neighborhood watch, but on steroids, with members dressed like police officers and driving cars identical to police squad cars. Residents say they're uncomfortable with the patrols, which they describe as being similar to Sharia police. Others have raised doubts about the purpose of the patrols, saying New York's police department is already very diverse, and their only job is to patrol the city streets and protect people from harassment or crime. So why does there need to be a Muslim group tasked with the same job as the police? Even other Muslims have raised questions about the need for the patrols, with residents expressing fears this is just another form of Sharia law enforcement. Similar groups can already be seen in other major European cities in Denmark, Germany, France, Sweden, and Britain. These patrols have been going on for years, and a CNN report caught Muslims from a patrol in London harassing residents. In Whitechapel, one man can be heard insulting a gay man, calling him offensive names and telling him he wasn't welcome in a Muslim area. Others denounce residents for drinking, claiming this is a Muslim area and alcohol is not permitted. They also harassed a woman as she was crossing the street, warning her that her short skirt was not allowed in Muslim areas. And now, with the arrival of these Muslim patrols to New York City, Americans are becoming worried they'll fall under the same harassment for not following Islamic practices.
And tonight in Your America, friends and family members of the victims of the 9/11 attacks are outraged over a plan to build a mosque in the shadow of where the Twin Towers once stood. Now, the 13-story structure is believed to be a $100 million project. The building would be erected just steps away from Ground Zero, replacing a building that was actually damaged in the attack. Now, some are arguing that building a mosque there would help improve relations between Muslims and Westerners, while others have called the project, quote, humiliating and insulting. And joining me now to debate this controversial issue are the president of actforamerica.org and the author of They Must Be Stopped, Brigitte Gabriel, and the president of the World Muslim Congress, Michael Gauss, is with us. All right, Brigitte, good idea, bad idea?
It's a very bad idea. It is a disrespectful idea. It's a slap in the face to the victims of 9/11 who lost their lives, as well as the face of their families. Whatever happened to the respects and sensitivities to those who lost their lives by the atrocities committed by radical Muslims in the name of their religion while they were screaming Allahu Akbar? What we are concerned about the mosque also, Sean, is not only how disrespectful and insensitive it is, but also the radical links of the Imam who's going to be heading and teaching in this mosque. Imam Faisal Abdul Rauf had said publicly that the September 11th attack was not perpetrated by Muslims. He said publicly on CNN that the United States was an accessory to the crime, as that Osama bin Laden was made in the United States. So what type of teaching will be done in the mosque if it gets built across from the place where thousands of Americans lost their lives?